only gay men in the town, in the neighborhood think that I'm trying to videotape them because they all think they're so hot. I was talking to somebody, oh yeah, my husband, about this really weird thing which I'd like to talk about more and explore in the coming weeks, which is, you know what's really weird about being gay is that we are all men, right? Now the predominant sexual orientation is heterosexual, and so that means that men are attracted to women and women are attracted to men sexually. So what's interesting about that is that it comes with this whole gender kind of roles thing where women take on specific roles and men are always the pursuers. But what's interesting, and I think also challenging for guys, is that when we make each other our sex objects, we actually end up creating kind of this rich tension between men, because you know you can be in a room full of men and gay men, and you know there's potential friends there, and there's potential sex partners, and there's potential relationships, love interests. This of course is Castro Street. We were down here a couple weeks ago before Gay Pride. And
District 8 resident?
I'm actually busy. Thanks. And that was bitchy, wasn't it? I'm sorry. Those people, they have no like sense of propriety. So I'm gonna finish my thought and I'm gonna go inside here. But I wanted to say that so there's this thing about the same sex as like the so then friendship is a possibility, and then because we're always like a lot of guys are pursuing each other for sex partners, then the quality of relationships and friendships actually can suffer. So I think it's an interesting dilemma. And one that I think we all have to sort of, I personally can relate, have to kind of learn to navigate. There's one piece of this that I wanted to talk about. Is this about all being men? I think that's it for now though. So this is gonna be, we're gonna take a break and we'll be back with more of this episode of Bad Weed San Francisco in just a bit. So this is Michael McDonald.
Hey.
We're going to be hearing a lot more from you. Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 47 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I live here in San Francisco.
Yes.
And I had a business called Living Wow, and it's going to come back up.
Yes.
Probably in the fall.
Yes.
September. LivingWow.com.
LivingWow.com. Now, if people can, if they go to LivingWow.com now, what happens?
Nothing.
Nothing.
There's nothing there. But we're hoping to get the website up in about another month or so.
And Corky Mignola is helping you.
Corky is really helping.
Yeah.
Because we are going to be doing this fabulous online kind of a workshop.
Right.
To help gay people in the GLBT community.
Gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. I even have listeners in Iran, so we have to explain everything. Not because people from Iran are stupid or anything. It's just,
yeah, for the gay, lesbian,
bisexual
and
transgender, and questioning.
And questioning.
And questioning.
To help with dating. Around dating and finding women and finding men.
Now, not to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
I was just telling folks a little bit about my observation yesterday, because I was at a professional meeting with 50 some or more gay men.
Right.
And I thought, you know, this is really interesting because all these men could either be A, my friends, B, my fuck buddies, or C, my husband, my long-term relationship, even though I have one, see. So how is that different for us than it is for like straight people when women are pretty much always the object of affection and men are
Well,
the
when
pursuers.
like when I
Why does that make it more difficult for gay men?
when I used to teach the workshops, I used to teach group workshops where they were like groups of I used to do it for just gay men only. And we used to have anywhere from like 20 to up to 50 to 60 guys in the room.
Yeah.
And there these guys were sitting in a room full of single men who all wanted to be in relationships.
Gay men.
And they weren't talking to one another.
Right.
They weren't communicating with
Why
one
is
another.
that?
And what I found out is like after I've been talking to a lot of people is like I found that there's a process you go through around dating that the majority of gay and lesbians and transgender people have gone. Like for example, when we were teenagers, there's that whole thing about dating and going out to the prom that we missed out on as people within this community because we were told to withhold that. We were basically afraid to go approach that guy as teenagers. And so that carries over with us into adults. And I think that's why a lot of times within the gay community it's so focused on sex and not so much on developing a relationship. And even when I talk to guys about dating, the number one priority in the relationship with another man is their sex life. It's not about the connection to another person at a deeper level other than the physical. A lot of it has to do with sex. What we want to do is we want to focus on our Living Wow is teach workshops to help guys kind of find other ways of finding that relationship and to really.
But why do you think it's harder for gay men than it is? Like, I mean, tell me something. What I'm trying to get at is, is there something about men with men that's more challenging than like men with women? Well, where the roles aren't as clear, or the roles are.
Yeah, what I
how can we look at that as a resource as opposed to a...
Well, when you look at lesbian relationships and you look at two women who are in a relationship, there's a lot more compromise going on between them.
Compromise.
And as women, they're so used to compromising in the world, because that's kind of their role, which is hard to say, but in today's world, that's the way it is. Women are really good at compromising and negotiating when it comes to relationships, whereas men aren't.
Okay.
Men are, it's more, it's kind of a man thing. It's like when you get two men together.
So there's competition?
Yeah, when you get two men together who aren't so much into compromising, that kind of ends, that kind of puts a spur into the relationship.
And do you think that we're limited by the idea of like top and bottom, like male and female? Is that, are we limiting ourselves?
No, I think when it comes to relationships that there are so many ways of having a relationship that there's not just one way of developing a relationship, whether there's two tops, two bottoms, top, bottom, whatever works for that relationship. What's important is trying to find out what works for you.
Well, do you think that because we grow up in the straight world that we over-rely on those sort of almost sexist models of men and women, man on top, woman on bottom, man has power, woman doesn't?
What I find is that most people, when they go into relationships, is they do focus on the top and bottom. But do you want me to
keep
follow
looking
the camera?
Yeah, that's good.
They do focus on the top and bottom, but what I'm finding more and more is once they get into the relationship, that's not really the focus.
They learn newer models.
The focus is more what they look at is what type of relationship do they want? Do they want a monogamous relationship? Do they want an open relationship? Do they want like one guy who's monogamous and another guy who's not? Also, what I find is sometimes you get into a relationship and one guy has a really active libido and the other guy doesn't. So
So they have different sex drives?
How do you strategize with that? Right.
One guy wants to be a whore and the other guy wants to be Madonna.
That's right.
Well, this has been a lovely conversation with Michael McDonald from Living Wow. We'll be hearing more from you, right?